Namaskar and welcome to the 22nd episode of video series DK Hal. As you are aware that in a recently concluded Pusa Kisan Mela between 9 to 11 March 2022, visitors were asked to share their written queries. At the end of 3 days, we found that most visitors, including farmers from different Indian states, were keen to know about organic farming. So a critical analysis of existing status, future scope, and possible strategies to move ahead is being presented. Kindly view till the end to have a clear understanding. Before we actually start organic farming, we need to be very clear that why do we want to go organic? Kindly note down your responses as yes or no. We want to go organic because organic products are sold at a premium price. Yes or no? Cost of production in organic is very less. No need to apply any agri inputs. Can be done with least efforts. There is a big export demand for organic products. There is no incidence of diseases and insect pests. There is no risk at all. Environmental pollution from agriculture need to be brought down, or government assistance or subsidy is very high in organic farming. Kindly check your responses. In case your response is yes to any or all of the above reasons, it is better to rethink twice or put your idea on hold for some time before you finally decide to adopt organic farming practices. Well, some of the outcomes of organic farming are in line with the above or even better. But for that, one needs to have patience and perseverance because it is a time-taking process. Organic farming is a production system which avoids or largely excludes the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, growth regulators, genetically modified organisms, and livestock food additives, and also maintains its purity during transportation, storage, processing, distribution, etc., so that it reaches the end user in the purest form. There are major stakeholders in this organic farming practices too. We need to understand their expectations. The first stakeholder is certification agency. They need timely payment for their certification process. Traders, whether they are wholesalers, retailers, exporters or importers, they wish the demand should be very high, higher return on investment and high profit. Country as a whole expects the exports to grow so that the forex earnings. At the end, the consumers expect safe food for good health at a comparable or say affordable price. To address the expectations of stakeholders, we need to ensure very high quality produce in sufficient quantity to be supplied on a regular basis. And for this purpose, we need to have enough testing facility, warehouse, cold storage, transportation, cold chain management, and millers or say processors. It is important to have these facilities exclusively dedicated to the organically grown produce. Without going into data and statistics, we need to understand that do we have sufficient facilities to deal with conventionally grown produce? Forget about organic at the moment. But to be successful, these are the basic requirements. And you also need to know that lack of facilities has already resulted into several consequences. And the consequences are increased incidences of fraud, that is pesticide residue and rejection of consignments. In the ethylene oxide, that is ETO issue, 5 organic certification agencies from India were de-recognized by the European Union. As regards ethylene oxide, the maximum permissible limit is 0.1 milligram per kg of produce. India exports around 1.2 lakh tons of organic cotton per year. Here again, APIDA has suspended the license of a leading certification agency due to fault in the certification process. So there is a big uncertainty even on organic cotton. Being directly associated with the implementation of organic farming activities in various Indian states and also developing the operational module for adoption and certification of organic farming in the project mode have seen various ups and downs in the whole movement. We know Sikkim is a fully organic state since 2016. and its geographical location has certain advantages for this. To understand the reality in the state, we had an opportunity to interact with the senior-most officials in the Department of Agriculture Sikkim at Gangtok on 4th March 2020, that is immediately before the COVID-19 lockdown. During the meeting, we discussed whether there is increase in the production or productivity of the crops, whether there is any increase in the employment opportunities in the state, whether the producers could receive premium price of the produce, whether there is sufficient production of any of the food item. Surprisingly, the response to all the above queries was no. Perhaps all the efforts were made only to go organic, that is training for adoption, documentation and certification, without any special emphasis on soil and crop management. Currently, Sikkim is facing major crop challenges like blast in paddy, rhizome rot in ginger and turmeric, wilt in tomatoes and chilies, wilt and root rot in large cardamom, and infestation of termites, cutworm, and white grub in vegetables, and dieback in mandarins. This is the biggest challenge that Sikkim is facing today. This is in brief the current status of organic farming in India. Now the next question is what to do. According to a report by the US Department of Agriculture, India's organic produce market, which was nearly 1.04 billion in 2021, is expected to grow by 10 times, that is 10.1 billion by 2026. Major organic items being exported from India are oilseeds, that is flaxseed, sesame and soybean, tea, medicinal plants and rice. And horticulture is an emerging sector in India. There could be infinite scope for fruits and vegetables in future. No doubt there is enough scope for horticultural crops, but we do need to understand the major issues. As per a report, most of the fruits and vegetables contain pesticide residues. The 8 most contaminated items are cucumber, found to contain more than 86 pesticides on skin, spinach, more than 65 pesticides, lettuce, more than 50 pesticides, grapes, imported contain 14 while local had 13 pesticide residues. Strawberries, more than 30% of the samples contained more than 10 pesticides. Potatoes, 90% tested positive for pesticides. In case of apples, more than 95% for 1 and more than 92% for 2 pesticide residues. And even chocolates are not free from pesticides, as cocoa bean contain pesticide residues. The purpose of sharing this information is to create awareness that all those interested to join the organic farming movement must be careful from the very beginning. Now, the final segment is how to go for organic farming. Yes, we can explore alternatives as a consequence of conventional farming, like increasing fertilizer application, rising cost of cultivation, low crop yield or yield started declining, soil fertility is low, water holding capacity of soil is low, and low marketability, that is poor crop quality in terms of taste, color, shine, shelf life, etc. Now, the basic steps for organic farming are: it is suggested that no individual farm or farmer should go for organic farming unless it is too large. Group of farmers or the entire village can go for organic farming. They should select a continuous patch of land. Otherwise, marketing will be a challenge, least economic, plus pesticide residue will continue to be a major challenge. Long-term determination to go organic, because this is a tough decision. Hence, the entire group must be ready to bear the consequences. Otherwise, it will be a complete loss. Selection of crop or variety. This should be done from among the crops being cultivated currently, but also as per the demand in the target market. We should also be very clear about the purpose of organic farming. In case it is done for self-consumption, there is no need for any certification. For local market, credit of the individual or group, and one can make use of the certification under PGS, that is Participatory Guarantee System, which is based on awareness about cultivation practices, especially use of inputs, local surveillance, and mutual trust without spending much on certification. But in case of exports and or non-local markets, maintenance of internal control system for third-party certification is a must. This involves extra cost, selection of reputed certification agency, keeping in view the target market and understand their requirements, particularly use of inputs and documentation for certification is probably the stepping stone towards organic farming. Now to go organic, the land holdings need to be divided into three broad categories. The first category is those land where the average yield is below average. The second, where it is average. And the third category is where the soil gives good crop yield. For organic farming, only the first category cultivable land should be targeted. Once it is done successfully, then only the next lands can be touched. Otherwise, there will be a big crisis due to sudden yield drop. The same happened in Sri Lanka. Last year, they put a complete ban on import of chemical fertilizers and targeted to convert the whole country into organic in one go. Facing the challenge of declining crop yield, the decision to go organic has to be reversed within 6 months. So we need to be careful. To go organic, crop-specific plan need to be devised in advance because all crops need proper nutrition. Soils to be enriched to sustain crop growth, that is crop rotation, on-farm input management, and certified inputs should only be used. Crops do fall sick, that is, they are attacked by disease, insect pests, mites, nematodes, etc. So one can use local resources like neem, karanja, and other biopesticidal materials, insect trap, pheromone trap, crop rotation, biopesticides. But if something is to be used from outside, they must be certified. Proper weed management is a big issue. As no organic herbicide is available, hence for weed control, we'll have to depend upon manual and or mechanical measures only. Yes, irrigation and mulching to save on water. Same for harvesting, threshing, storage, transportation, processing, marketing, distribution, etc. In nutshell, proper planning and all the preparations to be done in advance. As per the international standards of organic farming, agri inputs has been categorized into three. The first category is prohibited, that is not to be used at all. Kindly check the list. The second is restricted only to be used in consultation with the certification agency under exceptional conditions. The third is permitted, that can be used in organic farming. So kindly check the list of those permitted items and use them judiciously. In the case of organic farming, don'ts are more important than do's because any prohibited input or practices, if adopted at any time of production process, can be sufficient to suspend the certification of farms. Hence, complete understanding of the practices and inputs are the prerequisite to adopt organic farming. To avoid the challenges of conventional farming in the third category, that is above average soils, and also to minimize the pesticide residue, we suggest a special emphasis on management of soil health, integrated nutrient and pest management so that the soil as well as crop can be safe for sustainable use. For further details on these aspects, one may refer to the previous episodes of this video series, that is DKL. Thanks, like the video and subscribe the channel, share with friends and give feedback so that we can include new topics for further discussions.